Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to all the contributors of my Patreon channel. Your support is necessary, and without you, none of this is possible. And if you'd also like to support the channel directly, Cash App and PayPal are available. Just be sure to let me know in the For section if it's okay for me to thank you publicly, or else I'll assume you'll want to remain anonymous.
And here we go.
Layman's Journal, Chapter 257. I am not a fan of Shannon Sharpe. Though he says a lot of things I agree with, I think he's obsessed with his own fame and is willing to play the game to get ahead. However, I cannot deny the fact that he's a hard-working man of many talents. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, and all-around legend. But he's also a sports pundit, talk show host, and recently the proprietor of his own media company. And while he's made a lot of money in the NFL, he's made a great deal more in his other endeavors. And recently, he successfully negotiated a $100 million deal with Comcast, until this came up.
NFL Hall of Famer and Georgia native Shannon Sharpe is now facing a $50 million civil lawsuit. He's accused of an emotional abuse by a woman he met in 2023. That lawsuit claims that Sharpe was violent and controlling during their nearly 2-year relationship, alleging in October and again in January. Sharpe, who played 14 seasons in the NFL after starring at Savannah State, denies the allegations. In fact, he just released a video today calling it a shakedown. His attorney also calling the lawsuit a blatant attempt to extort him.
And shortly after that, Sharpe responded.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
So obviously, this complicates things for Sharpe. Not only does this hold up his impending deal with Comcast, but it also jeopardizes his current position with ESPN. However, all is not lost, because this is a Tony Busby case. And just like Shannon said, he's earned the reputation of being a shakedown artist. He looks for these types of women who will accuse men like Sharpe of wrongdoing in exchange for a payday. So whenever you're dealing with him, there's a 99% chance you're dealing with bullshit. Which is why Sharpe, in my opinion, is very likely to win this case, if it goes to court. And my stance on the issue is this: never trust a woman who calls an attorney before she calls the police, who files a civil suit before a police report, who chases a bag instead of justice. So obviously, I'm siding with Shannon on this one, even though I'm not a fan of what he does. Because, regardless of the way that I feel about him, he's still being railroaded. And people like Busby should not be allowed to practice law anywhere. But that's a subject for another video. What I do want to talk about is the greater conversation this story has created. You see, Shannon Sharpe is 56 years old, and his accuser, Miss Gabby, is a 21-year-old white woman, whom Shannon began dating when she was 19 and he was 54. Obviously, this angers the sisterhood.
Why is someone his age dating a woman in their 20s? Can we first talk about that, please? Because it's giving manipulation, it's giving control, it's giving power. And I know there's going to be some people who are watching this who are going to be like, well, Olani, it's not against the law. Understand this, please. Sometimes the law is just a set of rules given to idiots who need their hands held from time to time.
Men like that scare me. Because what does a 56-year-old and a 19-year-old have in common? Actually, she's 20 now and he's 56 now. So a 55-year-old and a 19-year-old have in common? What? What do you have to talk about? What life experiences do y'all have to discuss? None. And anytime, and I know men are gonna find their way in their comments like, it's legal. If you have to say it's legal as a way to defend your dating preferences, you're a predator. You're a predator. That's like us saying slavery was bad and y'all be like, well, it was legal. That doesn't make it okay. It used to be legal to beat your wife. It used to be legal to rape your wife. Does that make it okay? I mean, it's legal.
There's absolutely nothing that y'all could say to convince me that older men talking to 18 and 19-year-olds are not the same men who try to talk to them and do talk to them when they're 15, 16, and 17. Nothing. Nothing you could say to me to convince me that those are not the same people. That Shannon Sharpe stuff it's really weird and disgusting. And I know y'all gonna be like, she's legal. Just because somebody is legal or something is legal does not make it right. Slavery was legal for 400 years. Does not make the shit right, okay? There's plenty of older men who like younger women. But you don't have to sit in front of the goddamn high school and wait on them to graduate so you can snatch one up. That's the pedo behavior that is. That it's a connection. Y'all don't just want older men, they don't just want a younger woman. They want somebody with proximity to adolescence, and that's the part that bothers me.
This Shannon Sharpe situation don't even amaze me, because I've been telling y'all and preaching to y'all for so long that how older men like younger women because they can't handle women the same age as them or in their mid-30s. Let's be real. Let's do the math. That girl is 19 years old. Shannon Sharpe got a daughter that's 20-something. You mean to tell me you 50 and you like girls that way younger than your damn daughter? How is that possible? So y'all don't find nothing weird about that. Nothing at all. 19 years old and you 50.
Shannon Sharpe and I are about the same age. He's 56, I'm 54. The young woman accusing him is 19. Now, I don't know about the merits of the case. I don't know if it was consensual, it's a setup, if it's legit. The courts will figure that out. But I do know that there is no way I'm getting caught up with a 19-year-old. I have a rule. If you are young enough to have had a play date with my children, there's nothing for us to talk about. And this young lady is young enough to have been babysat by my children. Absolutely not.
I mean, come on. 19 years old, 56. What do you guys have in common besides sex? So you just gonna continue to spend all this money tricking off with females who on Instagram or OnlyFans and put yourself in a position to be caught up like that. It's a lot of brothers out here like that with a lot of money. I understand, you can get caught up. There's a lot of great looking females out here. But when you get older, you're supposed to mature through life lessons. Come on, man, let's be real. Y'all never had before. Y'all never had a woman with a nice body. You done did that before. And you cannot tell me you done reach 40 years old, 45, and you think it ain't no older women that's 40, 45 that still look good. They all over the place, bro. And they educated. They got something to bring to the table. And they looking for good men like you who can bring something to the table.
So they're trying to use this situation as a lesson on why older men should not be dating younger women. They think hard-working, successful men like Shannon Sharpe should be dating age-appropriate ladies.
Well, let me tell you why I'm irritated, because I tried to save Shannon Sharpe. I tried to save her. Now, if you recall, I ran into Shannon Sharpe at the NAACP Awards. I stopped him. I said, Shannon, I got 10,000 girls I could hook you up with. If you don't remember, take a look. I know, I got what you're looking for. I got like 10,000 girls. He walked away. 7 seconds could have changed his whole life. All he gave me was 7 seconds. Shannon, you should have sat your ass there and listened to me.
What advice? If a group of women were in here and it's like, Auntie, come on, Auntie, talk to us. How this dating thing? Because it's Mo is different now than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say what you trying to say? Mo?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me live my life.
Let me tell you what my baby need. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon need. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
But again, I side with Shannon Sharpe on this issue.
He's talking about date your age. I want to date my wage, so come on with it.
Well, you talking?
As a matter of fact, I'm taking applicants as we speak.
Well, you talking spicy tonight, boy.
And it's also sparked a debate on interracial dating.
Shannon Sharpe, I'm going to stand with you, my brother. Shannon Sharpe, I'm going to stand with you, my brother, on one condition. I'm getting text messages from all over the African universe telling me that Shannon Sharpe was accused of the unspeakable. I'm getting text messages telling me that Shannon Sharpe was accused of the unspeakable. I'm going to stand with Uncle Shay Shay on one condition. Uncle Shay Shay, no more snow bunnies after this scandal. If you cannot promise me that you will never seek the company of another snow bunny, I cannot stand with you. Uncle Shay Shay. Uncle Shay Shay. I'm standing with you, Unc. I think it's a scam. I'm standing with you, Unc. I think it's a scam. I'm standing with Uncle Shannon Sharpe on this one.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack, and we're going to talk about it. So, let's get it. Now, the thing that bothers me most about this is the response from the men. They're exuding the type of reaction I expect from women. Why are you, as a man, so worried about what another man does with his meat stick? We call that de-policing in the men's community, and it's not a flattering trait. As for the older women, the leftover women, I don't expect anything less. Because they're jealous. Because these ladies thought they were Jenny from Forrest Gump. They thought they could use their 20s and early 30s to have fun. They thought they could have casual sex and children with random guys. Then circle back to the good men they passed up early in life. Good men who would look past their body counts, children, excess weight, and age. Who would love them, protect them, provide for them unconditionally on the eve of menopause.
Bullshit?
Now, anyone with common sense would call them crazy, and many of us did, yet they were shocked, stunned, to find out good men have options that don't include them. You see, men their age are able to go younger. They don't have to settle for their leftovers, and that angers them because they can't do the same thing with younger men. And to make it even worse, the men that are rejecting them are the men that they passed over when they were young, because they were, quote, not good enough. And now, they can't even compete for them. The young ladies, which are their competition, have locked them out of the market. But it also scares them, because now they have to accept the fact that they've blown their chances, and they're going to have to finish out the remaining 40 to 50 years of their life alone.
But Layman, those are gold diggers. The only reason these young women want to be with older men is because of money.
No, that's not true. Gen Z women, younger women, are picking older men for love. And no, it's not because older men are simps or younger men are too conservative or toxic, as the article would suggest. It's because older men have a level of emotional maturity and life experience that younger men generally don't have, which makes it easier for a younger woman to trust and submit to them naturally. Not only that, but older men are more marriage-minded. They're less likely to chase after loose women. Again, not something that's common amongst younger men. So it's not about money, it's about love, emotional security, and leadership.
Well, younger women like older men because Their frontal cortex hasn't developed. They're literally children and don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's true for young men too. And y'all wasn't saying that about Tracee Ellis Ross, back when she said she preferred young men for that very reason.
It's one of the reasons, I mean, we've talked about this, that often I date younger men. And a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a great dinner. We had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, but why? And I said, well, maybe because I can.
Yes, preach.
One of the reasons, though, that, because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Because I want a partner. And so often, and it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous? Because I have dated men my age. There is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man.
Yeah, she flat out said she likes younger men because they're easier, because of their, quote, openness. And you all applauded her for that. And what about those old industry pumps? Those women in their late 30s and early 40s that are dating and getting pregnant by young NBA players. So I'm not trying to hear about frontal cortexes when you all are out here doing and applauding the same thing. Now let's talk about the race baiting.
So Shannon Sharpe is an example of playing in the snow and getting frostbite. Somebody call Dr. Umar. Get him on the line right now. Because this is literally what it is. Playing in the snow and getting frostbite. So y'all remember when he just recently did this interview and he was like, with Funny Marco. And Funny Marco said, oh, you look like Miss Netta. And he was like, oh, but that don't stop them young ones from opening up. Yeah. It ain't stopping them from opening it up, setting you up, and now you about to open up that wallet. Because that lady about to drag you through the mud. Whether or not these allegations are true or not, we don't know. But she did just release a snippet today. And you said you was going to when you seen her. So that doesn't sound like to me that you guys were in the middle of having. But again, I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. But y'all gonna learn to stop playing with these white women.
First, let me say, the memes were hilarious, but the logic behind them is stupid. First of all, that young lady doesn't look to be too ethnic herself, so either her parents or grandparents must have been playing in the snow. But this nonsense about white women being the cause of Shannon Sharpe's downfall, listen, women are women, regardless of race or age. All are capable of treachery and betrayal. And I've done several videos on my channel about older black women, age-appropriate women who've done worse things, including violence, against the very men who share their reflection. So age and race have nothing to do with it. Women are human, and all humans are capable of evil. But Shannon is not completely without fault. Miss Gabby is an OnlyFans girl, and nothing good comes from messing with a chick on OnlyFans, because that's a transactional woman. That's a woman who will do anything for the bag, including lie. So Shannon walked into this situation with his nose wide open. He's a fool for thinking he could domesticate a wild cat. So I'm going to close things right here, but before I go, check out this preview of my latest video on Patreon. Layman's Journal Chapter 254. 2018 was a really good year for movies. Almost too good. We had films like Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You could argue it was the best year in recent history, but in spite of all the commercial success of those films, there were two movies in particular that I believe were exponentially better than all of them. One was Searching, and the other was Widows. But neither of those films garnered any type of box office success. Both grossed less than $100 million. However, Searching did well for what it was. You see, it was a small budget film. It cost next to nothing to produce. So even though it only made $42 million in the box office, that was a huge profit given what it cost to make. Widows, on the other hand, was a massive commercial failure. It only grossed $72 million of the $105 million needed to break even, meaning the studio took a $33 million loss. And to make matters worse, it had an all-star cast. It featured Viola Davis, Liam Neeson, Elizabeth Debicki, Colin Farrell, Daniel Kaluuya, and Brian Tyree Henry, all of whom did an outstanding job in their roles. But still, they garnered no attention from the Academy, so the film had no commercial or critical success. And I think that's largely due to girl power fatigue. You see, Widows was released at the height of the DEI woke era of Hollywood. It came out at a time when films like the Star Wars sequel trilogies, the Ghostbusters sequels, and that god-awful Ocean's 11 spin-off, Ocean's 8. And all of those films featured strong heroic females and masculine roles that were originally written for men. So when people saw the trailer for Widows, a heist movie featuring an all-female cast with the underlying theme of weregirls fighting mean boys in a male-dominated world, the collective response was,
"Oh shit, here we go again."
Yeah, they wanted no part of it. Everyone was tired of the girl boss flicks. And they were right, to a degree. Widows, like many other films featuring strong female protagonists in this woke era of movie making, is feminist rage porn. It makes masculinity in men the central part of the problem, while simultaneously celebrating it in women. So while Veronica, the film's lead character, is allowed to be a strong, stoic, courageous, and morally incorruptible leader, the men who exude those same characteristics are all evil and in direct confrontation with her. And of the few men who are the good guys, they're either dead or in submission to Veronica, the female protagonist. And if you want to hear more about that theory, please check out my breakdown of Speak No Evil. It's some of my best work. But getting back to the topic at hand, it all fits into the theme of this channel. Entertainment media is more than entertainment, it's propaganda through art. The stories may be fake, but the messages behind the stories are always real. For good or bad, better or worse, the goal is to influence your mind, change your way of thinking to affect culture. And the thing about propaganda in art is that it isn't always evident. It's easy to spot in bad films and TV shows. For example, you can see it a mile away in films like The Woman King and Captain Marvel, or in shows like She-Hulk and Amazon Prime's The Power. However, you don't see it in films that are entertaining. And Widows, in my opinion, is one of those films where the propaganda is not evident, because the messaging was subtle and grounded. And what I mean by that is, there were no she-man moments. There were no female Avengers assembling, no 90-pound women beating up a hallway full of men. So the women didn't dominate men physically. To the contrary, the film was intelligent and well-crafted. So unless you were told to anticipate it ahead of time or had an eye for that sort of thing, you wouldn't notice you're being preached to, as it's easy to get caught up in the entertainment of the moment, even though it hates and demonizes men. And speaking of the men of the film, they weren't stupid. But more importantly, you don't see them getting told. There are no lectures or finger-wagging or warnings to check their privilege. Now I can imagine some of you are wondering, how can I say this about a film like Widows, a film that dabbles in misandry? Well, that's because all movies, regardless of genre, have a bit of propaganda in them. It's just that the good ones focus on the plot, which is why I can appreciate Widows for its artistic prowess, in spite of the progressive messaging. And that used to be the case with all films coming out of Hollywood. The message was always subtle. They were metaphors buried within the narrative. But today, the narrative and overall entertainment value take a back seat to the message, as filmmakers today don't care if a movie is good, as long as the audience is lectured. And in a way, that's probably why I enjoyed the film so much. Again, that's patreon.com/Laymans Journal. And while you're there, check out the rest of the videos in my Patreon library, as I'm sure there's something there you'll enjoy. And if you like this video, please share the link on your social media platforms. I cannot stress enough how far that goes into helping me grow the channel. And if you have a movie you'd like to see broken down on Patreon, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. And that's it. That's all I have to say about it. What do you have to say about it? Leave a comment in the comment section and let's have a conversation.
How am I spending my Friday? Some jerk chicken with rice seasoned, red beans, and some bread. Got some red wine over here. And I'm watching Laymans Journal on YouTube. Shout out to the brother Layman. Check him out. I'll leave the link in the description. It's your boy Calvin King. And this is how I'm enjoying my Friday.